The other trailer that we had to talk about was a character I know basically zero about, Swamp Thing. There's going to be a series on the DC Universe streaming service, and I know it's a dark thing. It's a dark character, and it relates to the Justice League Dark and all of those mystical elements. So the trailer kind of plays out like a horror movie. Like, it starts out, they discover some kind of, I don't know, plague, I guess, and it's like, we have to track down the source of this, and then, of course, they arrive at the swamp of the Thing, and it appears, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I'm sort of getting the sense, and again, I just watched this trailer before we started, I'm sort of getting the sense that he's not like the cause of it, but people are going to think that because he's this creature living in the swamp alone, and this is sort of where the same thing's originating, they're going to like sort of equate it as being an extension of him, like he's causing the thing. But I'm guessing there's going to be some greater force at work that's just not really divulged in the trailer, and they're sort of painting him out to be like a villain starting out. But
yeah, that's the feeling I got.
So I don't know much about the character. I have the actual Wikipedia article pulled up here. I'm like reading through it as we're talking here. So there's been like a bunch of iterations about the character. Like, there's been like 7 different characters who have inhabited the whole Swamp Thing moniker. So
all I know is that Mark Hamill voiced him in some cartoon. Maybe it was Brave and the Bold. I don't know.
I actually don't remember him being in Brave and Bold. He very well could have been, since it was like a massive show. But
you know what? It's probably the new thing, Justice League Action, I think.
Okay. Well, isn't that like more kid oriented? Like, I feel like Swamp Thing wouldn't make an appearance in that.
That's like just to sell toys. Well, I mean, they want to sell toys of everything.
Yeah.
There was a clip I saw where it's Mark Hamill doing the voice of Joker, Swamp Thing, and himself, like all at once in the same clip. It's like the Joker kidnaps the actor Mark Hamill, and then he gets rescued by Swamp Thing.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm sort of getting the sense, despite the fact that there are a bunch of characters who have had Swamp Thing as their alter ego, it seems like the species, the partnerships, the abilities are pretty much consistent across characters. So, like, you'll always have a character with super strength, with plant manipulation, with elasticity. I guess control over plant physiology is also a thing.
So like
regeneration.
Yeah. So like Poison Ivy, but monster kind of.
Right.
Like
so that's the sense I'm sort of getting. And he's also considered like a swamp monster and an elemental in certain iterations. So it sounds like he's pretty similar across these different forms. It's just they've taken different origins with each of these characters and had different motivations for each of these characters.
Swamp Thing was originally Vertigo, right? Or was he?
Yeah.
Was that where Constantine crossed over to DC?
I think you're right that he started off as Vertigo. I know Alan Moore had a decent writing arc for him, and Alan Moore famously did a lot of his work for Vertigo. I think Watchmen might have been part of DC, but again, Vertigo is a DC imprint, so it's not like that wild of a idea that there's some of their darker characters might have started off here and crossed over into the main continuity.
Well, then there's like Constantine, who has 2 different versions of himself.
Yeah.
Now, do you think, with the inclusion of Constantine and Legends, because I don't think he's going anywhere, now we have Swamp Thing.
No, it's not going to cross over.
Well, no, not necessarily that they're going to cross over, but Constantine has more, visibility. Now they have Swamp Thing. They were talking about doing a Dark Fate thing. Do you think that they're possibly setting the stage for a Justice League Dark live-action something?
Like a TV series, you mean?
Maybe. I don't know. Because, Titans is pretty dark, and I feel like the whole...
Yeah.
thing with the Trigon and all that.
I want another Zatanna.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it would probably fit on DC Universe if they wanted to go the TV route with it. But I like, again, Constantine, I don't think is going to make an appearance in this realm. It's like they're basically setting up another DC TV arc, Like, we know Titans and Doom Patrol both take place in the same universe. I can assume Swamp Thing is also taking place in this universe. So they're building onto, like, a DC universe within the DC universe,
Oh, God.
Yeah, so
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like I think I've seen Swamp Thing in different roles before, but isn't he like normally a villain though?
No.
So as far as I can tell, and again, I'm not super familiar with the character. I'm like fully all the research I've done has been basically Wikipedia and a few other articles. He's usually considered a hero. He's usually considered a superhero, not even an anti-hero. So I don't know too much about him, but it sounds like he's never really inhabited a pure villain persona.
Well, I know one thing. His priority is always the forest, right? He says protect the green.
Yeah.
Like, he would prioritize.
Well, he protects
plants.
nature overall.
Yeah.
Like, that's how he gets involved in, like, any other type of crisis, is if the Earth is in danger and Mother Nature and all that.
Yeah, I guess like Aquaman with the ocean. He's the Aquaman of the forest. He's Plant Man. There you go, Plant Man. Ant-Man meet Plant Man. Plant Man, Ant-Man.
Spider-Man, Ant-Man.
By the way, quickly, who would win? Swamp Thing or Groot?
That's a good question, actually. I think they're similar enough that...
Swamp Thing.
Like, it'd probably be pretty
Wait, like MCU version of Groot or
Which Groot?
MCU Groot or comics Groot?
Comics Groot.
Oh yeah, probably Groot.
Really? That surprises me because I would think Swamp Thing has like he controls all plants, whereas Groot's just himself. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it depends on the actual iteration of the character, but yeah, from what I can tell, there's been a lot more versions of Swamp Thing, so it'd be a hard matchup to actually make. You know, I'm sure someone's made that argument before, but just off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you.
So yeah, that's about it. Swamp Thing, kind of a mystery. I think I did read somewhere that they planned the series to be longer, but they cut the amount of episodes for some reason. I don't know if that was budget or they just couldn't decide on like the direction or the script or whatever. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, so far, what we've seen in terms of original content on DC Universe has been pretty solid. The trailer here looks pretty solid, so I can't imagine it's like a difference of opinion or like an outwardly bad series type of thing. But yeah, I really couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
My initial guess would be that it's probably just an issue of like budget. You know, again, DC Universe is still receiving just a relatively small amount of funding compared to like the DCU or even Arrowverse. So, you know, that would be my guess. It's a budgetary thing.
Well, I guess that makes sense.
What you just saw was a segment from our weekly show, the Utterly Nonsense Podcast, which you can find on YouTube, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, basically anywhere you can get your podcasts. To see more like this, make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, like the video, and remember, it's not news, it's nonsense. Thanks for listening.